This is really a collaborative project between Friends of the BU Library, our office, the Study Abroad office, and many other offices on campus too, to really celebrate learning beyond the classroom through experiences and accomplishments of Bethel faculty, students, and staff. These presentations are recorded and will be available online on the BU Digital Library's homepage. So upcoming events this spring, there are quite a few. The calendar is available on link. The next one is March 10th. There will be a finalist team for the Chartered Financial Analyst Global Research Challenge presenting. They're advised by business professor Chapin, and they'll share about their experiences. But today, we welcome Chapin. She's a senior, double majored in sociocultural studies and reconciliation studies. And she will be presenting about a time 1 year ago, right now, when she was studying abroad in India. So, welcome, Kate.
Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm on the microphone. Okay. So yes, I'm here to present my time in India, which is going to be hard to talk about because it's like, you can probably understand this. Summing up 4 months in like 20 minutes or 40 minutes. So like, I guess 10 months or 10 minutes a month. So let's do that. Okay, not really. So yes, I will be talking about India, my semester in Pune, and I put the appendix up there for everyone who thinks it's called Pune, like I did, like for 6 months before I left. It's Pune, or Pune. I'm going to start off with this quote. It's by V.S. Naipaul, the author of India, A Wounded Civilization. India for me is a difficult country. It isn't my home and cannot be my home. And yet I cannot reject it or be indifferent to it. I cannot travel only for the sights. I am at once too close and too far. I read this about like a month into my time there. There was a little library in the program center, and it like hit a home for me. I was like, man, I am at once too close and too far. And this is a man who was from India, so that was just a really relevant quote for me. It's kind of hard to sum up because when you're in there, everything's surrounding you, and you're like, what's going on? And then when you leave, you don't really know how to remember it and like explain it in the right way. So I'm gonna do my best. So I was in the city of Pune. It was in the state of Maharashtra. So on the left you see the state circled there with the red sun. And then on the right is Pune. It's about 2 hours or 3 hours east of Mumbai by train. And it was in a valley region. So, and I never heard of it before flying for this program, so that was kind of exciting. And if you don't know, India is absolutely huge. I really didn't realize that before I left until when I got there. And I was like, this is a huge place. So, just so you know. I was studying at Gopal Institute. It was through the Alliance for Global Education. It's a program that's not really affiliated with Bethel, but I just found it on my own through the office. So I studied at Gopal Institute. I didn't actually study with other Indian students. There was about a group of like 25 of us. There were other American students all across the U.S., and it was just me from Bethel. So that was an interesting endeavor. It was a non-Christian program, so these students were from all over the place, mostly from secular schools. So I kind of just was like dropping myself in the middle of whatever was going to happen. So on the left, those are my roommates. I had 3 roommates in my house. We lived in walking distance from the school. And it was Gopal Institute of Politics and Economics. So I didn't see a whole lot of students around campus a lot, which was too bad. I mostly just saw my American fellow students. And on the right, that's me and my friend Angela. Everyone thought she was Indian. She's actually Mexican, so that was really interesting walking around with her. It was a really beautiful campus, and it was right in the heart of Pune. Pune is called the Oxford of India. There's a lot of colleges there, so basically I was at Oxford. I know, I really smart. So it was a great place. I guess it was just school as usual when I was there. I had classes Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. I went home, we had breakfast at the program center, and then a break for lunch, where sometimes the program fed us, but usually they just let us roam free in the city and get our own lunch, which was super cheap. These are the classes that I took. Contemporary India, which is just like basic social studies course. Social justice, kind of explains itself. Beginner Hindi, yep, I took Hindi when I was there. And on the right, that is a picture of me practicing my homework, memorizing the alphabet. I started day one and stopped. After when I left, it took a long time to memorize it, and it's too bad I'm kind of starting to forget it now. But yeah, so that was an interesting endeavor. That was my worst grade in college so far, actually, in beginner Hindi. I got a C+. I'm gonna say that, yes. Maybe C-, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. And yeah, so I took that for kicks. And then I also took social entrepreneurship, which was one of my favorite classes. I got to meet a lot of different entrepreneurs from around Pune, a lot of people from Mumbai, and just people who were doing a lot in like the entrepreneurship sector. Had a lot of guest speakers. It was a really good class, and we actually got to take some field trips into Pune and see like entrepreneurs there and like their jobs and what they do. So that was great. And then in the middle, those are two of my classmates practicing in Hindi class. Yeah, it was just cool as usual. I came to call Pune my home, and I didn't realize this until about a month into it when I left for a weekend trip to Goa. And it was a long weekend because a lot of unexpected things happen. You know, when you travel for 10 hours on a bus, you're like, man, I just want to go home to my bed. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like my bed in my house in India. Yeah, so that was a nice realization. I was like, yeah, this is my home. And right here, these are my girl's parents. Sanjay on the left, super sweet man, he's a business owner. That was a business at the house, or at the bungalow, we called it. And then Rudula on the right. She was the funniest lady. I wish you guys had met her. Like her English wasn't very good at all. Whenever she was substituting a certain word, she would say this thing, or like this thing, and like everything was this thing. It was so funny. She would call like my roommates this thing, and it was great. Yeah, they were really great people. And I also had two close brothers, one who was in college in Mumbai, and another one who was a handicapped kid who like couldn't walk or couldn't move, so that was really interesting itself. So yeah, I didn't actually get to know him that much, so that was interesting. But yeah, besides that, it was just us three girls there with our parents. This is more of the city of Pune. On the right, that's from Parvati Hill, which is like the highest hill in Pune in the valley. And from the top, there's a temple, a Parvati temple, and you can see it Pune from all around. It was really awesome. And then on the left, those are like right next to my house. I lived on Badakar Road, right off of FC Road. So a lot of traffic, a lot of bikes. And on the bottom picture, you see the Amul sign. That's the best ice cream ever. And ice cream is so popular there, and I didn't really think of that. They call it softies. It's great. Yeah, so Pune was huge. It was the 7th largest city in India. It's like 7 times larger than Minneapolis. It's crazy. Yeah, and it's only the 7th largest in India. So yeah, I didn't get to see all of it, which is too bad, but I tried. Yeah, so Pune ranged from like slums near the river to this really fancy coffee shop on the left called Cafe Peter Donut. We loved going there. Yeah, so it was super fancy, except really cheap. And then on the right was a really nice walking path. Pune has a lot of walking paths that are just like quiet in the middle of the city, and then when you enter inside, all of the street noises just suddenly goes away, and you're just in silence and like walking near these, behind these apartment buildings with trees, and it's like amazing how peaceful it is when you're in the middle of this huge city. And that's how I got to school, by walking on this path. So, how could I even begin to describe India? I've tried, and it hasn't really worked so far. So, I'm going to try even harder. Yeah, so I summed it up in a couple themes that I think, when I think of India, this is usually what I think of. India for me is rickshaws. I love these things. I probably talk about them too much now even. Every time I got in a rickshaw, I probably took a picture every single time. So it was just something really fun. otherwise known as tuk-tuks. There were some like human-powered rickshaws, but most of them were electric or gas-powered in Pune because it was so big. And so you see on the meter, it says 17. That was the starting rate. And 60 rupees is $1. So I could usually get somewhere within like 20 to 25 rupees. Really cheap, really fun. And yeah, we took rickshaws everywhere. And usually the drivers were pretty nice, except sometimes it sucked when they tried to rip us off, which was like late at night. At 10 p.m., not really late, but yeah. But yeah, that was one of my favorite parts, just zipping in and out of the streets. Sometimes I think I'd die. So that was really fun. And I got to take them also in other parts of the country as well. So I'd really like to see a rickshaw business here. So if anyone's interested, I am totally willing to start one up. So I think it's a great idea. India for me is food. This is not the only slide of food. I have many more. It is so good there. There's so many different types of dishes. Lisa, I love your face. She knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, like in the middle is chai. We had chai at least 4 times a day. My host mom would make us chai before breakfast every single day, like 7 in the morning. And then we go to school and have chai, and then I go to either class or my internship and have chai. I would go to my sitar lessons and have chai, and then every once in a while I would have chai at night, so it's all the time. And it's not like Caribou's chai. Do not think that's the same thing, because it's really not. Yeah, on the right is our breakfast food at the program center. This pasta is kind of rare, but we did have it every once in a while. I just thought it was the prettiest looking picture of the breakfast food. But usually we'd have things like upma, which is like, I wanted to again describe it, never mind. But then like Greek yogurt and a boiled egg and a really good breakfast every single day. It wasn't really much, but they had it for all of the students and it was really good. And then on the left, that was for a party, chapati with lots of things, samosa, different types of dips, and rice and vegetables, really good stuff. On the left is pohe, my favorite breakfast food now ever. I tried making it at home this summer. Wasn't that good, sorry mom. But this picture makes it look amazing because it really was. Like flattened yellow rice with cilantro, onions, peanuts, so amazing. And I think I got this bowl for maybe like 20, 30 cents when we were taking a drive one time at a pit stop. And then on the right, that was like a fancy kind of dinner, a thali. So when I took that picture, I had no idea how to eat it. But by the end of the semester, I knew exactly what everything was, and I knew how to like have every dish with whatever it was. And so that was kind of a big accomplishment because really you look at that and you're like, what are those things? Like, is that sweet? Is that sour? And then you find out when you bite into it. So. Another slide. On the left are dosas. I never had a dosa until I went there, but they're amazing. They're kind of like puffed pancakes. And then you have like bhaji with it, so like potato bhaji with kind of chutney or curry or something like that. And then you dip it. So amazing. It's really cheap too. It's maybe like 200 rupees, so a couple dollars. And on the right is sugarcane juice, which was maybe $1 itself. And you always hear the sugarcane juice place because when they're taking these huge stalks of sugarcane, they're putting it through the machine, and there's like these bells that are like on the grinder. So you hear them from like blocks away, and you're like, yes, here we go. And sugarcane juice sounds really sugary, but really it's not. It's more like refreshing. It's kind of like drinking something, I don't know, but it's not that sweet really. It was just very refreshing. We got them in like these little, they look like, beer things or whatever, beer steins, but no, they're really good. And yeah, those are me and my friends from my internship. On the left is spices from my host mom's kitchen. I could not begin to name them for you. Maybe someone can, but I can't. And on the right is more ice cream. That was on the day of Holi, like Holy Week, when they throw the powders at you. And I still have some left if anyone wants to have a little holy fight. But yeah, that ice cream was like 10 rupees, so we had this all the time. That was along the road near my school, so after every single day we would go get ice cream. India for me is travel. whenever I think of India, I think of like going places and the things I did there and like seeing places beyond Pune. We took a trip to Mumbai as a class for a week, and we saw a lot of speakers, and we traveled around by bus, and we saw different lots of sites. We even got to experience pottery making in the slum of Dharavi, which is on the right. You see that? Excuse me. So yeah, Dharavi was very interesting. We spent about an afternoon there. It's kind of hard to remember, or difficult to remember, because when we got there, there was a funeral happening in the middle of the slum, and we had to walk through it because we were just seeing the pottery neighborhood of the slum, and there's really no other way to get to it except by walking through this funeral. So it was actually a really big controversy with classmates afterwards, because we're like, that was really disrespectful, but we had no other choice but to walk through it. And so yeah, that was a really difficult experience, seeing all of the poverty, but also there's so many different ways to make money there and be an entrepreneur and all these businesses. So that was really eye-opening. And we got to try your hand at pottery. I sucked at it. It was really bad. Didn't keep anything. And in the middle is buttermilk. It's gross. Don't try it unless you're Indian, because then you'll probably love it. But yeah, you see there's corn in there and cilantro. It's really gross. Really, really sour. They had me try it, and I didn't. That's all I had. I took a sip and then took a picture. So. Yep. And then, so we had about 2 months of classes and then a week of travel before our internship began. And my two friends and I decided to travel up north for our week. We went to New Delhi, Agra, Dharamsala, and Amritsar. We planned this all by ourselves, booked all the tickets by ourselves and everything. And our first stop was Delhi. We took a plane ride up there. And actually, right when I got off the plane, I forgot my drawstring thing of cash and my passport. I left it in the airplane. Yeah, really dumb. I'm a really bad traveler, believe it or not. I always forget things. So that was an interesting first start, but that's the only thing I lost. I mean, I got it back, don't worry. I got my passport back. But yeah, so we were in New Delhi. We spent 2 days kind of roaming around by ourselves. Saw a lot of old temples and buildings, and that was super fun. And then we took a taxi down to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. And my friend Sam and I we didn't mean to match at all that day, but we realized it around 3 p.m. I don't know why not at 6 in the morning when we left, but we're we're wearing the same thing and we're Americans, oh no. Yeah, but the Taj Mahal was absolutely beautiful. Usually when I see things, I'm like, yeah, people hype that up way too much, but the Taj Mahal, I was yeah, I was blown away. It was absolutely beautiful. Except our tour guide was rushing us through it the whole time. Come on, and we're this is probably our only chance to ever be here. Yeah, so that was a wonderful time. Except it was hard because we booked our own taxi, and the whole way there, the taxi driver was trying to rip us off for money and taking us on the super highway with taxes and stuff. And so we were agonized the whole time, just take us there, But I think because we already spent 2 months in India, we were able to just, be firm. Not Minnesota nice at all. And then we took an overnight bus ride to Dharamsala, about 10 hours north. We arrived there at 6:30 in the morning, paid way too much money for a taxi to our hotel because we didn't know any better. And we were in Dharamsala, and Dharamsala is where the Dalai Lama lives. And I really didn't know anything before until about a week before I left, when my roommates was like, yeah, you should go there, it's an amazing place. And so I went with my two friends, and it's one of my favorite places in the world right now. It was so wonderful. A lot of Tibetan refugees there. I really didn't know anything about Tibet until we visited some Hope for Tibet centers and went to some information meetings there. I helped teach English to a Tibetan refugee for a couple afternoons. I heard her story. And Dharamsala was a beautiful place. So, yeah, I'd recommend it. I'm definitely going back. There were a lot of prayer rules that we walked around. We went inside the Dalai Lama's temple. He wasn't there. We actually missed him by 1 day. 1 day, and they're like, he was just here yesterday. So, yeah, but it was a wonderful place. It was about 70 degrees there, 60. So that was the one time I got to wear my coat. I brought a coat, I the one day I wore it. And I got to wear my socks, which was nice. So, yeah. Felt good as a Minnesotan. Oh, and then here, we also, you guys know the song Happy by Pharrell Williams? Yep. That's when it became popular, and we're like, let's just make a music video. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this music video. You might have seen it before. I mean, hopefully you have, because it's super famous. But yeah, so we had some fun with it. Got a lot of weird stares. This was during our travel week, all over our travels. Personally choreographed everything. I taped that myself.
So these stops in Pune?
No, this was in Delhi and Dharamsala and Agra during our travel week. I'll fast forward a little bit. It's on a rickshaw. You don't need to watch that. It's okay. So this is on Dharamsala. We were so since you have a pair of legs, those are all over. A lot of little knickknacks you could look at. The temple cow. Yeah. That's probably enough of that. So that was super fun. I guess I can mention this, in Dharamsala, there are a lot of volunteer opportunities, so we even got to volunteer a couple of times. Like I said, teaching English, and then we got to clean up a waterfall because waste is a huge problem there, so they have this waterfall that it's called Waste Warriors. They always clean up the waterfall every single week. So we got to do that for an afternoon. So it was kind of like a guided tour of the waterfall with a Waste Warrior. And I've never really volunteered while traveling before, so that was a really big opportunity. A lot more fun than I expected. Let's see. All right, and then our final destination was Amritsar. It's kind of like the Sikh center of the world for Sikhism. I didn't really know about that religion beforehand, so that's the Golden Temple on the left. It was amazing. It's kind of surrounded by a little pond. It was our last day of the trip, so we were absolutely, we were so tired and kind of queasy. But we still went anyways, and we waited in line for like 3 hours. Someone in line threw up in front of us. It was really bad, but by the time we got in there, it was amazing. There were singers, and we could hear musicians like a mile away. And we got inside, and they were just doing their offerings and praying, and it was a really unique experience. And that was the end of the week. And then my last 5 weeks in India, I did my internship, which was my favorite part besides travel week. I chose the program because it had an internship component, and I had to do one for part of my degree here. So I had an internship at Dikriha Society, which means House of Light. It was started by like a Lutheran Indian couple in the 70s, so it's really prominent there. They do a lot of really good work, and I was the Women's Empowerment Intern. Whatever that means, it was really broad, but they gave me a lot of tasks. I got to speak with some self-help groups. It was in the Dikriha, the Family Welfare Center is in the middle of a slum in Pune. So every day I'd ask the rickshaw driver to take me there, and like he'd always ask like, "Are you sure you want to keep going?" You know, and he's like, "Go right, go right." I'm like, "No, go straight." You know, and so he couldn't believe that me and my friends were like going there every single day. Yeah, but that was really great. I got to interview a lot of women inside their homes and inside slums. I got to meet a lot of women working at the Family Welfare Center, working for their income generation program, or their like HIV/AIDS program, things like that. I had an interpreter that came with me every day to do my research, because basically I was kind of just researching how to help out their women's empowerment program more and develop it even further. And on the left is an account book for a self-help group. So all of those, they're all names alongside money that they owe, and they collect money every single month or something, and then they put it towards a fund that everyone can use for important things like family weddings or medical bills or things like that. And it was a really good program. And in the middle, those are me and that's me and my friend Angela, and then our two interpreters. We got really close with them because we hung out with them every single day, and they're 18 and fluent in Marathi, which is the state language, and then Hindi and English, so it was amazing. They're really great people. And on the right, it's me in front of the Family Welfare Center with some of the women that I met there. So me and Maya and Angela were three interns there at the time. We just kind of hung out there every day. Usually I found myself just kind of aimlessly walking around, because there was like 5 levels of this building and so many things happening at once, and the administration was not what you'd expect it to be, maybe for India, but definitely not for here, you know. So I was walking in there thinking, all right, give me something to do, and then they just left me to do whatever. And I was like, what should I be doing? But I just found myself hanging out on the top floor, which you see on the right side, with a lot of women working for the income generation program. And I just interviewed them every day and just kind of got to know them with my interpreter, which was kind of difficult. But near the end, I kind of felt really close with like 2 of the women there, just because we had just spent so much time together, not really talking, but like they made jewelry, so I was making jewelry with them like almost every day. Making cards. And then on the right, it's me with a couple British volunteers, and we started an English class, like maybe the second weekend, so we taught English every day for a few weeks. Basically just had conversations. Sometimes it was structured, but a lot of times just conversation with these women in English. So that was really interesting, like hearing their stories and just kind of like hearing about their kids and their background and like where they're from. Usually they're just from the area and like, you know, right next door even. And it was a really great organization. And on the right is Kusum. She was the little woman I got closest to. She was really great. She's trying on some of the jewelry that they made, and I even took some home to sell at my family's business. And on the left, we're making little sweet treats for malnutrition. Oh, wait, no, not malnourished. Wow, thank you. Malnourished children who went to the program center the Family Welfare Center all the time. So we got to make those for an afternoon with a lot of the women there, a couple of volunteers. So yeah, it was a really good time. I kind of learned how to just kind of take things as they were given to me. I wasn't really receiving a lot of direction half the time, but I thought it was really fun. Just to hang out there and see kind of India for what it actually is, because during my classroom time, it was a lot of just like, you know, learning like what I could be doing here. But when we did our internship, I was leaving every day for this place. Sometimes I just found myself heading for the NGO, getting to know the area a little bit over there. Yeah, it was a really good time. Okay, last but not least, India for me is sitar. I even got to take one home. And it was by far probably my favorite experience there, because I play a little bit of guitar here, but not a whole lot. So I was like, yeah, I'll take sitar lessons. We got to do like cultural expression while we were there. So some people did dance or like art. I did sitar. And on the bottom right, you see my sitar teacher, Ushta. Coolest old lady. She's super short and really crippled, but she plays sitar like a boss. Oh my gosh, like I really wish I could just show you a video of her playing. And she's toured all over Europe, all over India. I think she's been to the US a couple times. Like in the 70s, her band was really hit, you know. Yeah, so I learned, I only needed to go once a week, but I went maybe 3 times a week. In the evenings, I walked like a mile there, a mile back, by myself in the dark. And funny story, I played so often in the wrong position. When you're playing, you're supposed to like put your, sit like this and put the sitar right here. But I was not used to sitting like that. I don't really sit like that here. So I did that so often that I pinched a nerve. And I didn't realize that until my foot fell asleep and it wasn't waking up for a couple weeks. And so I'd be limping. I like limped home from this woman's house on multiple nights in the rain sometimes. So it was raining and I was limping, and I'm like, people were looking at me anyways because I'm the American, and I'm like, this is so pathetic. But I didn't care. Like it was kind of fun. And then we went to Mumbai for the week, and I was limping, and I told my program director, I was like, I think something's wrong with my leg because I can't, my foot's not waking up. And he's like, what? You should get that checked out. So that's the one time I went to the doctor when my foot was asleep. And I took some pills and it got okay. So, and then I secretly told my sitar teacher, or like very, passive aggressive, I was like, is there another way I can sit? Like, I don't really like the other way. I wasn't telling her all that my foot fell asleep because it was kind of embarrassing. So she's like, oh, of course there is. Why didn't you say so before? So I sat like regular cross-legged. Yeah, and then at the end I got to perform. There was like a banquet thing at the end, and people danced and played violin or whatever, and I got to play sitar, and I was so nervous. I even messed up. You have to memorize the music, that's kind of what you do, but I had the music out in front of me anyways, and it was written in Hindi because I was learning it, so I might as well like learn it while playing it, so it was all in different notes and stuff, and I forgot some of it, and it's on video, so you can see the video sometime of me just totally messing up and standing with the microphone like I forgot the music. And yeah, it was really fun, and I brought one home because I loved it so much. And yeah, hanging out with my sitar teacher, Ushta, was just really fun because she was just like an old lady. She had lived there her whole life. We just got to talking half the time. Sometimes we'd hang out afterwards, or she'd give me tea or food beforehand, and we would just chat, and she'd ask me about my background and what I did that weekend. And yeah, she was really great. And then while I was there, I had a blog, and that really helped a lot. I look back on it now, and I was like, man, it's just amazing how much I was learning, and I tried to put it as much on there as I could. And I also kept a notebook, which I filled up almost over halfway, and I put like quotes in it. So if you're ever going to study abroad, I would recommend bringing a journal and blogging, and something you could put like old flyers in and stuff. I kept a lot of my tickets and things like that. So yeah, journaling and blogging really helped because I was learning so much in a day that sometimes I forget what was going on or what I had to do to remember because there was so much. And a lot of like internal processing that sometimes I wouldn't even want to write it down, because I'm like, I don't even know what to begin with. Because I would see things, or like, especially with people on the streets walking up to me. I'm not really used to that. I've gone to places where that's happened before, but that happened for 4 months straight. It was amazing how I got used to it, and it was kind of sad how I got used to it because I just got really, assertive and was like, no, get away from me, which you have to do since you're there for 4 months, but that was really difficult. So I say initial reflections because I know it's cheesy, but like, I've been back for like almost a year now, like 9 months. So I learned how to be patient in every sense of the word, with people, with myself, with my roommates, teachers, just kind of like India in general, especially in my internship, I learned how to be patient because I didn't receive actual directions until 2 weeks into it, and I just was hanging out there for 2 weeks, and I didn't know how to really get direction. Expectations not being met, again, especially in my internship when I thought I had things to do, but they weren't really giving me things to do, and I just had to do self-direction, which in the end, it actually really helped a lot. Accepting unwanted changes. I left behind a 60-liter backpack in a rickshaw. I forgot it. I was in a rickshaw and I put it behind me because there were other girls in the rickshaw, and I left it in there because we were talking the whole time, and we left and we were going to this girl's house, and then when we got in the door, I was reaching for my backpack and I was like, where is it? And I left it in there, and I got all of my things, but almost all of it. Like I had all of my toiletries, my swimsuit, my pillow. I don't know, I put my pillow in there for a weekend trip. It was so stupid. And I didn't have my name on the bag. So really stupid step right there. So always do that. And so I had to learn how to start over, and I had to buy Indian toothpaste and Indian hairbrush and all of these things. My computer died twice, crashed, and I had to go and find kind of like a Best Buy to help me out. And I don't know how to do that here, so I usually go to my brother. So I had to do it there twice, and I learned how to be assertive, and like a real adult, like, okay, what's going on? How much do I have to pay for this, so. I guess sometimes it was easier than I thought to go through things, especially maybe with my attitude change. Stepping out of my comfort zone, being an outsider, and growing into myself. From like the first week, I realized how much I was learning about myself, especially my interactions with just people in general, and how I kind of do things. I learned a lot about myself that I didn't really realize before, especially like living with girls I didn't know, or like kind of being by myself in the city for an afternoon. I kind of grew up a lot, which is surprising. I mean, maybe not really, but I just like learned how to stand up for myself and be assertive, which is hard for Minnesota. To end, I'd like to finish with one of my blog posts that I wrote. I was just kind of sitting there on a Friday after school, and I just kind of wrote this out in my bathroom area. That sounds weird, but there was like a little couch thing in the bathroom area. I don't know, in my house. It starts off with a quote by Rainer Maria Rilke. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. And then I go on. I find myself asking millions of questions these days. Questions like, why do people act the way they do? What makes people so different from one another? Are we really just all the same? Why do rickshaw drivers always feel the need to rip me off? When will I finally feel like I fit in? Why are there so many different types of sweets here? Is it right to give money to kids who pull at your heartstrings? Do possessions truly matter? What's it like to live along the bridge down the road? How many chapatis does the average Indian consume per year? How will this trip change me? How hot can it really get here without a whole mass of people dropping dead? When will people stop staring at me and my blonde hair? I had blonde hair back then. And then I finished. For now, I'm going to take Rilke's advice and just live out these questions. There's no point in trying to answer them if I can't explore the questions themselves. So, that's all I have for you. So, any questions? I mean, you can live them out, but you can also ask me right now. So. Yeah.
Did you buy a lot of clothes when you were there?
Yeah. So I bought this outfit there. I spent all of my money there almost. And actually I got a fortune cookie like a month ago that's saying the best shopping trip of your life is over. And I was like, what does that mean? And then someone pointed out, like, you were in India. And I was like, oh yeah. I bought a lot of clothing and a lot of like souvenirs for people since they're all very cheap. Like this was probably $2.50. Yeah. And this is like $1 or $2. So. It's great. Yeah.
Was it hard coming back?
Yeah.
Explain your experience to others.
Well, before I went back, I visited my friend in Scotland, and I'd say that was probably a mistake. It was really fun, but I need to get used to the food, so I was sick the whole time when I was in Scotland, and it was freezing cold. So then when I got here, it was kind of the middle of the two. It went from one extreme to the other. So when I got here, it was really nice. You know, like 7 degrees in June and stuff, and it was kind of difficult, but I think it was easier than I thought. And then now that I've been home for so long, it's kind of seeping in. And I do have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, especially like this time of year, like I was not here a year ago. You know, I was in a different part of the world, and all those experiences that I was living are now over. You know, so sometimes it is really difficult to like remember that, and then yeah. But it is good to talk about it and stuff. But I think it's also difficult because I'm the only Bethel student who was on that trip. So I know people who have gone to Guatemala or like a Europe term here have a lot of, you know, good things about it because they can talk to other students. But I'm the only one here who really knows about it, and there's not really other Bethel students who have gone to India in general even. So yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you go back again, what do you think you'll do?
Go to other cities. I'm going to go back to Dharamsala, and I want to see Calcutta. I probably wouldn't go back to Pune, actually. I would probably go for a day trip when I'm in Mumbai, but I realized there's a whole lot more to see than I realized. And yeah, I probably would take a yoga class, because I didn't actually do that there. I just learned from my friends.
Do you have any comment about population density? Just the feel of that when so many people around.
Yeah. It was strange because in my part of the city, everyone kind of had their own little bungalow and stuff. It wasn't necessarily a better part of the city, but once you got to like the slum area where I had my internship, or when we went to Delhi or Mumbai, it was amazing. Like we would see all these apartment high-rises and just like clothes hanging over the edges. And it just, to me, seemed like really, really stuffed. And especially when we were on, like, I went on a moped a couple times, and we were weaving in and out of, like, so many people on the road, and no one ever died. You know, like, there's almost no traffic accidents in India. I mean, there are, but not compared to here, because people know what they're doing there. So that's not really answering your question. But, yeah.
I didn't ask a question, I just asked you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah, so it was, I could definitely tell it was stuffed, but it was just a normal thing there. People were used to it, and yeah. And also with the slum community that I had my internship in, everyone knew each other. You know, like since you're so close in proximity, everyone knows each other. Everyone's kind of looking out for each other too. And my thesis, or like my main point for my internship research, was that the empowerment that they were trying to create there was through the community that they had with each other. Not necessarily, I mean, it was through the programs that they had and the steps they were taking, but it was also through like just having the community that they have. So sometimes that density's a good thing, or better than you would think. Yeah.
Has this trip changed what you want to do with your future?
Yeah, actually. Before I went, I was hoping to do something with women's empowerment. That's why I was a women's empowerment intern. And then when I got there, I was like, this is so difficult. And especially probably because it was in India, but women's empowerment is such a huge process. And you have to have a lot of determination and passion, which I thought I had, but I think I really liked my social entrepreneurship class, where we did a lot of like studies on community development and, you know, like things like that. So that's kind of how it changed me. I kind of want to go towards community development now, not really women's empowerment, just because you have to be like a certain type of person to do that, or, you know, a passion that doesn't really end. And with me, I thought it was really a difficult process. So not that I wouldn't want to continue with it, but it did change me now.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.